housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into a chat box that will be answered at the end. Welcome address. My greetings to everyone joined for the webinar. Very good morning to all of you. Honorable former Vice Chancellor, Dr. K. Meena, respected Secretary of Primax Foundation, Dr. V. Selvaraj, respected Principal, Dr. S. Anil Kumar, Principal, Dr. R. Parvati, Founder and Director, Mr. Ravi, speakers, program coordinators, faculties, and my students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of SSMRV College, Bengaluru, PG Department of Commerce, in association with Primax Foundation, Bengaluru, and co-association with VET First Grade College, Bangalore, Srimati Indira Gandhi College, Trichy, Tamil Nadu, Tie-ups International, Indonesia. First of all, I extend my most sincere thanks to Almighty. It is my proud privilege to extend my heartiest welcome to all of you to this international webinar on faculty enrichment, interdisciplinary approach in management. We feel extremely honored by the presence of Her Excellency, the former Vice Chancellor, Bharatdasan University, Dr. K. Meena. She was the first women Vice Chancellor, and she is the Secretary of Srimati Indira Gandhi College, a unit of National College Council, Trichy, Tamil Nadu. I welcome you, ma'am, for this webinar. Next, I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to Dr. V. Selvaraj, Secretary, Primax Foundation, Bangalore, a backbone and a pillar of our foundation. Once again, I welcome you, sir, for this webinar. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. K.V. Ramanathan, Vice President, Primax Foundation. He is a person whose strong commitment and dedication which leads our Primax to greater heights. Next, it's my privilege to extend my heartiest welcome to Dr. S. Anil Kumar, Principal, SSMRV College, Bangalore. It is my very proud to say SSMRV College has been ranked one among top 5 college in India by India Today MDRA survey. They have a 360-degree education for wholeness model, which practically works on a 6-dimensional approach: academics, skill development, extracurricular, career development, ethics and self-governance, and psychological well-being. I welcome you, sir, for this webinar. Next, I extend a very warm welcome to Dr. R. Parvati, Principal and Academic Director, VET First Grade College, Bangalore. She is a brave and courageous woman who supports and encourages the students for their achievements and to become a valued citizen of India. I welcome you, ma'am, for this webinar. Next, I extend my warm welcome to Mr. Ravi, Founder and Director of Tie-ups International, Indonesia. I welcome you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome our speakers, Dr. B. Ramesh and Professor D.P. Kothari, for this webinar. Next, I welcome all the active program coordinators, Professor Lavanya Balaji, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, PG, SSMRV, Bangalore. Next, Professor B. Ramya, IQAC Coordinator, PG Coordinator, VET First Grade College, Bangalore. And Professor N. Vijayalakshmi, IQAC Coordinator, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Srimati Indira Gandhi College, Trichy, Tamil Nadu. Once again, I welcome you all for this webinar. I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants who sincerely committed to this program to make it a success. This event would have been impossible without the support of each and everyone present here. Once again, I welcome every one of you to this webinar. Thank you. Next, guest introduction. I request Professor Ramya ma'am to introduce the guest.
Good morning, everybody. It's my honor to introduce today's resource person for this session, Dr. B. Ramesh. He has MCom, MPhil, and PhD in Banking and Finance to his educational credit, along with Certified Corporate Director from the Institute of Directors. He has over 34 years of teaching experience and is currently serving as professor in Goa Business School, Goa, teaching post-graduation students of MCom, MBA, MA Economics, and many more. He has guided 15 PhD candidates who have been awarded their doctoral degrees and has evaluated more than 75 PhD theses of various universities in the country. He has served as member of Board of Studies of various universities and has completed 2 research projects, one a major one sponsored by UGC and one research project sponsored by SBI. He has published over 93 research papers in Indian and international journals, presented more than 68 papers, and chaired technical sessions at national and international conferences, seminars, and workshops. He has got Lifetime Achievement Award 2020 by Best of EduTech for outstanding performance in the field of education, training, research, and allied subjects. We are indeed privileged to listen to Dr. Ramesh on the topic Applied Research, Emerging Opportunities in Management and Commerce. I welcome you, sir. Over to Rajeshwari, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request the speaker, Dr. B. Ramesh, to deliver his speech.
Ramesh sir?
Yeah,
Ramesh sir?
there's some kind of
It's
disruption.
audible. Yes.
Yeah, there is some disruption. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
Yes. And so good morning to all of you. And it is my great privilege to be here as a speaker. And I should be thankful to Ramanathan for inviting me on behalf of Primax Foundation and also RV College, who is hosting jointly this international conference. And when you listen to the introduction of various people sitting on the platform today, and I'm the odd man out because most of the eminent guests sitting are women. So today's session is very dominant by eminent women who have excelled in their career, especially the former Vice Chancellor, who is also sitting here. So I'm really touched by the presence of all the eminent guests, and it's my deep privilege to make straight thoughts in terms of what is expected to happen in terms of emerging opportunities in the field of commerce and management. And so let me start sharing the screen, and then I would continue. Just give me a few seconds. So this is the theme, what I understand, emerging opportunities in commerce and management education. And I need to take a little prelude to this topic, which was considered to be quite apt in the current context, especially this year, 2020, which coincided with the pandemic year. At the same time, a remarkable year in terms of our NEP that has come also into existence. So at the same time. And unfortunately, the NEP implementation, which coincided with the pandemic period, could not get that kind of fillip as it deserves. But at the same time, and within no time, I think all over India, we have been very active in terms of taking the cause of new education policy and many of the issues that we are confronted today. And what we are talking about emerging opportunities in future in terms of commerce management and also in case of various other professional courses. So the new education policy gives a lot of answers and also a lot of throws up lot of challenges, which are more in real terms challenges in terms of the objectives with which NEP has been enunciated. So we need to have a clarity in terms of the philosophy of new education policy, the various facets of new education policy, and the new dimensions which are added after almost 6 decades to give a fillip to the education system, right from the school level to the college level and the university system in India, and also taking the Indian education system to the foreign soil, and also giving opportunity for the foreign universities to come to India as part of our global policy, which we are pursuing. So this is a great opportunity for all of us to try to reflect ourselves in terms of what has happened in the past and now what is likely to emerge in future. So this is the background with which so I have prepared some kind of stray thoughts, taking the clue from the reports which are prepared by CI and as well as Sage University in terms of the skill gaps and the surveys that they conducted, is because this is the only authentic survey what we had during the year 2020. And it is a really excellent document. And I have taken a clue and then adding with my experience as a background. Now we need to have some perspectives in terms of what was the education system during the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and now we are talking about 5.0. And so because it is always the education system and the industry, they go together, as because what the industry requires needs to be filled by the academia and academic institutions in terms of the required inputs of manpower, and also to train the manpower to fill up the gaps in terms of our industry requirements. And it is in this context, I would again need to stress that this COVID period has given a lot of opportunities for new innovations. So because we always believe that the invention becomes the need of the hour in terms of crisis. So COVID has given a lot of inventions, especially for the startups. So therefore now the focus is only on the startups. We don't need to think in terms of big industries, but then any business idea, what comes out in terms of our practical difficulties that what we face in the society or in the industry or in the consumer market, and how one can think of coming out with a new idea, innovation. And invention is not necessarily invention of a new product, but it is a new kind of service, new kind of product, or added value to the existing product. So that's the kind of startups that we have created opportunities. And all of us are witness to this kind of startups during the so-called COVID period, and which was the fatal period for not only the Indian economy, but world over. So now let's go through the phases of Industry 1.0, where the focus was mainly on mechanization, steam power, and then weaving looms, hand-driven weaving looms. And then it went on, and that took almost a century period to move on to Industry 2.0, where the focus is on mass production, assembly line, and the electrical and energy. So the focus of Industry 2.0 shifted to these areas. And then comes, again after another decade, the Industry 3.0, where the focus was on automation, the computers, and electronics. And we have not seen the computers, at least in our educational institution, till the year, I would remember, at least till 1975, we have not seen. I've seen only the computer for myself, first time in the year 1977. So the automation signifies the decade of early 80s, at least in India, though it was invented a little earlier. And you must have heard of the recent news, the first Apple computer, which was invented by the founder of the Apple company, went for almost, in terms of our Indian currency, more than 2 crores. So that itself speaks as an antique of the first computer invented by Apple company. So that was the generation of Industry 3.0. Now we have 4.0. We are now entering into 5.0. And not only in the industry, but also in the education sector. So now 4.0 has changed the entire facets of not only the industry, but also in the education sector. It is in terms of cyber-physical systems that have invaded the entire industrial system, and then Internet of Things, IoT, and then networking of system, people, the countries, industry, and everything. That the networks have become the stigma of Industry 4.0. So this is the kind of shift of focus over the few generations. Now, just to name a few trends of the recent times, the virtual and remote work has become a state to remain. And this was forced during the period of the COVID. But then now today, what everybody feels is that working remotely from your workplace is a normal thing. And earlier we used to have this kind of system of working only for the IT sector. And we used to wonder how the work from home was working in the IT sector. So that has now invaded the whole system of working, whether you are IT or non-IT, working from home has become the order of the day. And this is going to continue. The point that you need to keep in mind is that the virtual or remote work is going to stay irrespective of whether the COVID exists or vanishes. That's a different thing. And this is the point that all of us, we need to be clear that it is not that our education system is going to be replaced completely with this kind of thing, but then the physical classroom teaching as well as virtual classroom teaching is going to stay. So it cannot be only physical classes. And this is a clue that most of the educational institutions or universities have to take care. And this point is also stressed in our new education policy. And where the 50 blended system of education, where both the things, physical as well as offline lectures or interaction with the students and the faculty is emphasized. And the second important trend that what we witness is the organizations are more driven by the data system. So the data, pulling of the data, to begin with, the creation of the data, pulling of the data, analyzing the data, interpretation of the data, and then taking decision making on the basis of the data collected is the order of the day. So organizations are now more driven towards this database management. And this is again a clue for all the educational institutions, how you try to design your curriculum adopting this kind of new system. Infrastructure is going to be doubled in the near future, and our union budget also has stressed mostly in terms of digital infrastructure in academic institutions, and the new education policy also has stressed on that. So now earlier AICTE or the UGC or any other NAC institutions used to focus more in terms of your physical structure, that you need to have so much space, so much area of land for giving you the accreditation. So now all that is going to be undermined with the focus on digital infrastructure. So wherever you have, you don't need to have so much of land, so much of buildings. But then what is more important is that you need to have the buildings to accommodate the kind of digital infrastructure that is required. So now you need to find the shift in terms of this aspect, digital infrastructure. Now when you are going to have a new regulator in terms of the combined UGC and AICTE together, so they are going to come out with the new guidelines in terms of this digital infrastructure. So emotional well-being of the employees are also a new priority. So far, though we have been talking about the emotional well-being as part of our HRD system, but then this has become now more important, especially when you are working from a distance. The emotional well-being of the employees is a new priority along with the kind of investment what you are trying to do it in your physical assets. Spending on physical buildings, office space are outdated concepts now. And that is what we have seen where earlier the Bangalore, Hyderabad or Chennai, where they used to have a lot of demand in terms of the infrastructure space, in terms of the high rates that are available have now fallen during the last 1 year. The office space rates across the metropolitan cities have drastically fallen to the half of its original level. So the whole reason is that you don't need so much of buildings now for your office space. So this is another new trend that has come up. Now the job market may see a rise in job cuts and retrenchment in near future. And not only in near future, which we have been watching for the last few years, before COVID also, we have seen how the announcement of the layoffs or giving the blue chits to the employees is one of the important development that has caused a lot of stress to the people, especially in the IT sector, followed by the pharma sector and other things. But then this is actually, it is not the question of the size of the employees which is going to be stressed in future. It is the quality of the size of the employees which is more pronounced. And as long as the quality of the size of the employees is maintained, then the productivity is going to be matched. But then when the quality of the size of the employees is not commensurate with the returns or productivity, so obviously the industry cannot absorb such kind of size of employee. So the job market will witness this kind of pulls and push kind of trends. Try to give that. Maybe at the end of that, I would share a bit on this. And now to give a bird's eye view, this again in terms of ISR, India Skill Report 2020, prepared by CAI. So the top sectors over a period of time, if you see right from 2014. So they conducted the survey only from 2014 to 2020. So this survey indicates how the industries are now moving in terms of the sectors that have provided the most of the employment opportunities, are how they are moving at the top sectors for recruitment. So if you see from 2014, it is BFSI, pharma, then healthcare, the telecom was the top priority in 2014. But then when it came to 2020, it is the banking. Now, after seeing through various phases, so I'm not touching because of paucity of time, so I can't touch each and every point. But then now today, 2020, as per the survey conducted by CAI, the banking, financial services, insurance, BPO, KPO, ITS, internet business. So this is the sector that provides the employment opportunities or in terms of startup opportunities for the skilled manpower. So this gives a clue to the educational institutions or the university to redesign their courses that would match to the requirement of the industry, and that match to the requirement of developing the talent for startup businesses in various sectors. If you go into the domain wise percentage during the same period of 2014-2020, and now this is self-explanatory. Now we have undergraduate, ITI, polytechnic, PG or equivalent, management or equivalent. When I say management or equivalent, we are all concerned PGDM or MBA. And then the graduates and engineering and so on. Now you can see, and the most fascinating news is that the MBA and PGDM, that is the domain of management and equivalent degrees, has gained importance and sustained its importance compared to many other technical courses as well as general courses, including MCA, CA, mechanical, and so on, professional courses like CA. These are the statistics on the basis of, these are authentic statistics on the basis of the survey done by the CIA. So it is not my own data. So finally, what they found on the basis of this data, in this slide you will find what are the skill gaps and where the skills need to be filled up now in terms of our preparation for future. The skill gaps are mainly in terms of tech savvy, where they find that only 25% of them are eligible in terms of employability. So which means that almost 75% of them don't have the required skills in terms of technical knowledge or tech savvy. In terms of creativity, it's only 28%. That means 72% they don't possess the creativity skills. And this is where exactly the startup thing remains as startup. It doesn't progress in terms of when we boast of the size of the younger generation in India in terms of our total population is much higher than any other advanced countries. So which means that the younger generation are the source of power, source of productivity, source of creation of wealth, source of creation of the wealth to the economy. But then when this major source, what we take as the strength across the global scenario, but then when they lack the creativity skills, so what is required, I think now it may be a far off distance and dream for us to reach to the stage of becoming a world challenging economy in terms of its competition. So we need to focus in terms of creating the creativity skills among our younger generation. And this is what is revealed. And the people analytics, which is also equally important, because again, when we are manpower based economy, where the trained manpower and the unemployed people are remaining, so managing the people is also very important who are engaged in the business or the industry or trade and commerce. So that's the reason why earlier we used to have, now we hear the concepts like financial analytics, but we never heard of HR analytics. So today the buzzword is business analytics, which includes not only the financial analytics, but also HR analytics. So that is the focus which is given for as a gap in terms of people analytics. So this is one of the reasons why in the of late you find business analytics, which focuses even on HR analytics, is also becoming very popular. The behavioral science, which is also connected with that. And accordingly, on the basis of these gaps that are identified, what skills that are to be initiated, this is a kind of agenda for our educational institutions of colleges and universities. If you have to really to be competitive in this context, you need to develop these skills which are found to be missing, and then you need to gear up to train your manpower and then give the necessary fillip so that these gaps can be covered. And there's nothing wrong to understand where we stand, though it is not a very pleasant scenario, but we need to crack the reality. And that is where in terms of formally trained people, workforce, employed, when you compare with the lowest, India here, 2.3, when it comes to South Korea, it is 96% of the people who are trained. So that is just a simple comparison here. But when you see overall employability rate over the period of this, though we slightly improve, but still we are far behind. So that needs to be covered up. And then if you see the domain wise, though I touched earlier, so this speaks about what percentage of the subject wise, the employability. This again, these survey results. And if you look carefully on this, and it is the management discipline which has maintained its credibility in terms of the employability, and the computer science has lost its shine. And of these two bars that you would see is in terms of the period, what it is, in terms of the survey. So the computer science lost its shine relatively. I'm not saying this computer science has become irrelevant, but relatively they have. And the mechanical engineering still dominant, but then lost its position. Civil engineering, yes, it's almost the same thing, because with the focus in terms of infrastructure. So this is the engineering profession will not lose its shine, either civil engineering or mechanical engineering, or computer engineering to that matter. But then the whole issue of MCA is concerned. And you need to be concerned with one important development as far as MCA is concerned. So the duration of the MCA course has been cut, as all of you are aware of it, by the UGC. And there is a lot of furor on that issue. The reason is that the knowledge of computer science is not a separate domain. This is supposed to be part and parcel of almost every course. So when we are stressing that this computer science knowledge is, because if you call the degree nomenclature is called as MCA, Master of Computer Applications. So when it comes to the application part of it, application again with reference to various other domain knowledge, the MCA doesn't have its own domain except for the hardware, which is altogether different. So that's not part of MCA. Focus of hardware development is altogether a different subject. But then when it comes to application of computer, so it is a question of domain knowledge of other disciplines. So therefore, what they say that now in all your general courses or technical courses, computer application should be part and parcel of it. So that is the one of the argument for which the MCA duration has been brought down in terms of even the new education policy. So this is where the domain remains, but then we are at least in a comfort zone as far as MBA and commerce arena is concerned, or accounting arena is concerned. So now, on the basis of the whole data, what I have shown you, so I'll have to summarize in terms of the key takeaways from ISR report. So in terms of employability of India's youth has remained stagnant for the past 3 years, lingering around 46%. The MBA holders' chances of employability score is 54%. Now, when you look in terms of region-wise development, it is the Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and UP were able to gain in terms of this employability compared to the other states. These are better in terms of the employability. Then when you touch upon the gender, so between the male and female, it has come down to 46 and 47 in the year 2019, because this was done only for 1 year. Then what we understand, this gender ratio is going to see a remark. This is going to have a remarkable improvement of reducing this gender gap. And going by the policy initiatives that are taken, going by the societal changes that have happened, going by the aspirations of the women candidates in terms of their professional career. But now, with the urbanization, the people are more self-reliant and developments. I think the gender gap is going to get a little close. Yeah, I will just skip off just only by touching few things here. So in terms of e-commerce and BFSI sector is going to be dominant in the near future. And then the people with little experience, 1 to 5 years experience, continue to remain in the maximum demand. So that means over 40% compared to the people who do not have the experience. Now, this is one ticklish point that you need to understand. And this is where the NEP comes with an alternative to address this issue. If everyone wants a person with experience, then who take the freshers without experience and they have just passed their degree or post-graduation degree, who do not have a kind of experience. So this is where the NEP has given a lot of clues for us to create and fill up the gap here. What such creation is in terms of providing internship opportunities for the students to develop the skills that are required while they are doing the course itself with collaboration from the industry. And the second route for developing this kind of route is, as per the new education policy, we have academic bank credit. I hope all of you are aware by now. And the UGC has put on the website about 10 days back, inviting the suggestions from the academic fraternity on the draft, what they prepared on the academic bank credit of the students, which is going to be implemented in all the universities and institutions all over India. Last date for submitting of suggestions, if I'm not mistaken, was over just 2-3 days back. So which means that UGC is also very serious in creating the academic bank credit. What does it mean, academic bank? And academic bank in the sense that a student, while he gets admitted into a graduate course or postgraduate course, he will go through a part of the coursework, and in case if he wants to move out for a job which he gets or for a kind of startup of his own to begin with, then whatever credit that he has completed, because we run on credit basis, all the courses are run on credit basis. So whatever credits he has earned, it will be deposited in his account, which is it's like something like a depository account in stock market parlance. We use the terminology. So student will have a depository account with the institution where his bank account in terms of academic credits will be opened by the university or the college. And then whatever credits that he has earned up to say first semester or second semester or third semester, the credits will be deposited in the account, and then he's allowed to move out. We don't have that kind of stricture that if he's admitted for 2 years course from 19 to 21, he has to complete without break and then leave the course after 21. So nothing of that sort now as per the new procedure of the NEP, where student is allowed to move out whenever he wants. He can walk in and walk out anytime. Anytime in the sense at the end of the termination of a particular semester or any other thing, not in the middle of the semester. So suppose he has completed 2 semesters, he is in the middle of 3rd semester. And if he leaves in the middle of the 3rd semester, he will not have any kind of credits of 3rd semester, but he will have the credits to his account up to the end of 2nd semester. In the middle of 3rd semester, then he has to come back and join in the 3rd semester. So if he leaves at the end of the third semester, there's no problem at all. Then he would have earned his credits up to third semester, and then he can come back anytime to complete his fourth semester. He gets the degree. So this is what exactly is envisaged in the new education policy to meet this kind of problem. And this is again prevalent in most of the advanced countries like Germany, US, UK. This system is allowed. So student it doesn't continue once he takes admission 5 years course. 5 years is considered too long a duration for any kind of student. And for that matter, even in case of engineering, there is a serious talk of reducing the duration of engineering from 4 years to 3 years. We don't know what happens there. Okay, so this is the kind of new points that are coming up as part of this survey. And we are also ready with how we can incorporate these recommendations on the basis of the action plan what education institutions have to take if we are to meet these kind of survey results from CI. So we are ready with the new education policy. So let me move on to the few other major findings in terms of HR leaders' opinions. So here 86% of HR leaders, they believe the HR skills need to be changed. So what they believe in terms of the policies, what they pursue are not apt to the current scenario. So they believe that the skill sets that are required, 80% of leaders felt that the skill level of the student is very poor. So that means only 14% of the HR leaders believe that the people whom we are producing are up to the mark. The remaining 86% are not up to the mark. And 82% leaders also believe that the HR director or CHRO will completely unrecognizable in 10 years' time. So this is the timeline, what they forecast that their role is going to be zero in next 10 years. And as we understood by now, the tech-savvy employees are going to dominate. So these employees, whether you are from any domain knowledge of MC or MTech or BTech or humanities or chartered accounting, even chartered accountant need to be a tech-savvy here. So that is where the tech-savvy employees are going to dominate the job market. And this is what we need to stress being academicians. So any course that you design, there has to be a compulsory element of technical subjects, especially related to the skills that are required in terms of data management, decision making on the basis of data. So this should be the focus, especially in commerce and management, we need to do that. And at least from our side of Goa University, we have done last year, we have been running MBA Financial Services for the last 21 years. So we started MFS Master Financial Services in January 2000, and now this is 2021. And we have completed 22 batches so far. And when we started, it was MFS, but then the UGC later on insisted as a universal policy to all the universities that you need to have a common nomenclature. So we converted MFS into MBA Financial Services. So for the last 10 years, we are offering MBA Financial Services. And this last year, we have revised this course. During the COVID period, we have Board of Studies Academic Council, we all sat and then changed the entire structure of our MBA course. And our MBA course is now only for the last 20 years. When we started this course, I was the founder of this MBA Financial Services course. When we started only as 3 semesters coursework, and 1 semester is completely corporate internship. And till today, we have maintained the same character of our course structure. 3 semesters coursework and 1 semester corporate interns, where the entire semester he has to or she has to spend in the company, financial service company, and come back with the experience certificate as well as working on a project. And then I again attend advanced coursework, which is of three credits, which are run by only the industry experts, not the academic experts. And then the students have to make presentation, and then we see. And now our personal experience is that the students during this 1 semester corporate internship, before they went to the corporate internship, after they return back, I find a sea change in their way of thinking in terms of their way of presentation, because every semester they make presentation in terms of our subjects, but then the quality of presentations what the students do, and it's amazing. And this is our personal experience. I'm sure that this is going to be the order in near future. So the communication is an important aspect. Without communication, it is, though communication has been the general subject in all the management courses, but then this has become very important in all the domains. So communication is one such thing which is missing. When you look in terms of the scenario for banking sector, it is really struggling with overstaffing problems, and you and me know it very thoroughly, especially in public sector banks. With the current mergers and situation has even got worse. But I don't know, this point I have an altogether different opinion. This is the opinion expressed by experts. I need to share my opinion on this. The current mergers that are happening, even last week also we have seen one more announcement of 2 banks merger. And the idea behind the mergers of these public sector banks is essentially to cut down the staffing. There is absolutely no doubt about that. The target is only to cut down, apart from many other synergy aspects, whatever you may talk in terms of mergers. But then the essential point is the size of the manpower to cut down. And when the moment of 2 banks are merged together, so what happens now, immediately after the merger, you are not going to remove the employees. So please remember that. No employee will be removed. But then, once the merger takes place, now the retirement of the employees, so that goes on in the regular process. But then the recruitment will not happen. So which means over a period of time, when normally what happens when one employee retires, but then through this merger, they will not retrench people, but they will not go for fresh recruitment. And just take the statistical data for all the banks, those cases of merger that have happened about few years back. Please check their data of recruitment of the employees and check the data of the people who got retired, and you get the answer for this. So the mergers of these banks is essentially, they call it as have thing, but then the central government doesn't want to fund. And then whatever the funds are there between the 2 banks come together. One bank is weak, one bank is strong. So the weak bank, when it is merged, and the synergy in terms of the funds management, both in terms of sources and the deployment of the sources and in terms of deposits and then the loans, will be managed better in the these mergers are taking place, nothing else. So now 5-6 branches in a city area with a periphery of 1 to square kilometers now. And this is another thing which is cost expenditure, job cuts, retrenchments, and they are going to freeze further requirements which can be seen in this sector. And the ATMs and all that, what we have seen. Now we don't talk about passbook printing and all that. That has become outdated. I don't know how many of you go to the bank to withdraw the cash unless you require a huge amount of cash beyond the permit what is allowed in a day from the ATM. Otherwise, you never need to go to the bank to deposit your check, and you don't need to go to the bank to make the payments. We have online banking. And you and me have already experienced in this in terms of online teaching, learning. Last March, even before that, because there are some universities which are running online classes even much before the COVID. Online classes in the sense, interactive sessions online. And but not in general, only the professional institutions. Remember that, as I said in the beginning, that it is a necessity that makes you to invent have any other go to conduct their classes. And they are, some people who have not even touched. I remember first time I heard about the Zoom on which we are participating was in the month of January 2020. I heard about the Zoom platform. That kind of thing. And then after that, our job became easy. The first platform that I used for online was Zoom. But our official platform for Goa University is not the Zoom. It is the Meet link, Google Meet, because we are having a tie-up with the Google. So, but then we have so many. It has forced all of us. Now, every one of you have so many platforms now. I have at least 10 platforms. We joined. So that means within 1 year, we got adapted to the new kind of situation to manage our professional life of teaching and learning. And remember, it is not that we have to only learn things, teach things, but otherwise you become outdated. Then now students are far ahead in terms of their technical knowledge than the teachers. Become a kind of a student kind of thing in front of your own student if you show your ignorance. And many times it happens. And there's nothing wrong. Many times, even there are certain things, for example, when I have to edit a video of a program, I do not know how to do that. But then my student himself will come and then do the job for me within no time. So there's nothing wrong about even taking the help from your student. And student also feels happy because the teacher has taken his help. So that is the kind of feeling that you have to create. So learning by a teacher should never be felt as a kind of shame or thing. The learning has to be a continuous process. So shift from traditional degrees to skill-based courses. Now all the new courses, we don't have any kind of, and this is one of the important aspects stressed by the new education policy. All the existing courses need to be re-looked at, trimmed, or even replaced with the new courses. You can't run with the same traditional courses now with the kind of development that you witness. So which is a very important. And I was trying to tell my MBA course, financial services, we have done away with almost 50% of what we had till last year. Now we have imbibed a new 50% course with the kind of data management, and then especially even communication skills, and also keeping in contact with what is being run in terms of technology management of trading platforms in the stock exchanges. So we have done our job, but then the faculty training is also important, so on which we are focusing. So access to the course of reputed universities, and this new education policy has given you another feeling that you can always have the tie-up with other universities, provided you meet certain requirements. Each and everyone cannot have that kind of tie-up. There are certain standards which are done in terms of institutions of higher learning and other autonomous institutions where you can run a course offering, because as I quoted earlier, the credit transfer, your student who does 2-semester course can always go to another campus either in India or outside India, complete 1 semester and then come back. The system which was earlier existing, but that was available only to few universities or education like IITs. But now it is going to become the order of the day. Every institution will have this kind of thing. So where you can, instead of allowing the students to go to some place, better you create MOEs. You see how many MOEs that have been going on for the last almost 6 months. It's mind-blowing. And this is only preparing themselves so that they have the students with them, captive students. At the same time, as part of your own course, you are having tie-ups. Instead of allowing students to go and search on his own and then become a stranger to you subsequently. So online free resources access to library database is also important. And we need to tap all those sources which are available. And we did not have access to such kind of free online resources earlier, but now we have. And there are some paid database also. For example, we have CMIE Provis, because I'm talking in the context of MBA program. We have CMI Provis software, which we have subscribed for the last 10 years. And it costs us 1.5 lakh every year. We have done that for the benefit of the students as well as faculty. And then we also have Bloomberg software, which almost cost 20 lakhs. So whatever the kind of information data that you require about any company, registered or unregistered company in India or outside, you have access to that kind of data. So you need to provide according to your capacity, size of the people, and we charge, of course, to the students. But then providing facility is more important. So traditional teachers can never be a fit in the longer run. If you want to stick to your own, your blackboard and then chalk piece. So it is something that you need to be tech savvy in terms of your lecture series, presentation, and also interaction with the students, offline, online, both. Case-based method of teaching, which is very important, and a lot of case study methods are going on now. This is, again, not a new method of teaching, but then it has become now more relevant in today's world of education. So this is about, I think I have 5 minutes more time, ma'am. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello. Yeah, audible,
so
sir.
How much time?
Yeah, you have another
so
5 more minutes, sir.
Left?
Yeah, till 11 o'clock.
Conclude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So now the due diligence in terms of trade, business, commerce. So the virtual space has gained momentum. So no physical space, which I mentioned already. So gradual shift from brick mortar to brick and click only companies. So that is the kind of business model which we are going to have. And now it is online wing. otherwise perish, vanish. So innovation through artificial intelligence, big data analysis, and the so-called multinational giants like Walmart, Target. So they are all doing their business models on the basis of this artificial intelligence and big data analysis. So earlier we used to focus in terms of inventory management using some kind of computer software. And that is confined only to one shop. And then when you have a Walmart kind of thing, worldwide presence, then having the data, end of the day, what has happened in terms of your sales, revenue, costs, and transactions, end of the day, all over your shops across the globe. So you need to have this kind of big data analysis. So the manpower, what they look for to manage their businesses are only in terms of the people with this kind of skills. So online shopping is now has become the order. And the emerging market for freelancers, this is one new area because most of the organizations, they do not like to have a full-time employee. It's like outsourcing of freelancers who can give the project. I've seen a lot of my students and friends who are doing only the outsourcing job in terms of creative work. They get an assignment, the project is given to them, and this is our purpose, and then in the 3 months timeline you have to give us the answer, and that's it. And then according to your credibility of creating that kind of product what they require, and then accordingly your remuneration would keep on moving upwards. So this is another emerging market that has come based on project assignment. So you are not a full-time employee. So you take up the assignment on the basis of project with like our chartered accountants, company secretaries, how they take their clients of various companies, and then they do their maintain their works, and then they get a lump sum amount. So same way. So this is going to be the order for project and consultancy assignment. So now you need to prepare the students to decide about their career paths. So I'm not going to spend time since I have to wind up now. You need to decide in terms of giving information to them of because many times students are not clear what the vision is, what the dreams are. They have a dream, but then they don't know how do they realize their dreams. And so that's where you need to have a clarity in making the students clear, make them aware what the future is and how they should cope up their future and how they should develop their career and reach the goals. So there's a lot of responsibility on the teacher counseling on this. Okay, and touch on this emerging opportunities. Transform this, what is likely to be the future scenario in the commerce and management, business process automation, machine learning and coding. These are the emerging opportunities where we need to get up to mold our courses. If you don't have this kind of creative skills, you need to create the skills as part of your curriculum. And now you are given a free hand with the kind of new education policy. So there is nothing like the control by the university. Even the colleges affiliated can bring in there. Universities are supposed to do that, take the lead, and then the colleges are also given the free hand. Artificial intelligence, use of chatbot, creative space in business, career in advertising, and then your YouTube as a career. And you may laugh at it, use YouTube as a career, because that has become a very important profession for the last almost 2 years. So YouTube as a career, you become a master how to, because YouTube is considered to be one of the most effective ad platform for any kind of, it's not only for business, but even for academic institutions. Most of the management institutions now, you must be seeing in the market, their advertisement goes only through the YouTube channels. Almost every, and you can have your own YouTube channel. So that goes where the entire information, data, and the effective information that you want to share to the world, you can create your own channel and do. And then students can have their own channels. And the teachers also can have now, at least almost every teacher has created his own channel, right? And in terms of showing what you are and what was your background and what are your presentations and what are your expertise. So create a channel. Independent trainer and mentor careers, and then business analyst and big data analyst. So the last two are the future for tomorrow. And I stress on this, business analyst and big data analyst. You will find mind-boggling employment opportunities, because now with the micro business, neither can compete with the big business houses, nor they can survive with this kind of. But then the majority of the industries, which are going to be the online business channels across the globe, so would require huge amount of manpower in terms of business analysts and big data analysts. Now, should I share one important piece of information with regard to business analysts? These are nothing new in the US market for the last almost 15 to 20 years. And now you know what our engineering graduates who go to do MS course in US, because most of the migrants to US are mainly from India compared to other countries. And what they do, they are original engineering graduates, but what that job profile, you please find and check out with your own related people. What is exactly your job profile? You will be start to hear that they are doing nothing but business analysis. An engineering graduate doing a business, working in business analysis. All my relations are working exactly in the same area for the last 15 to 20 years. Now today we are talking in India. So that is the scenario where we need to get up. And big data analysis, of course, it's a new emerging area, whether it is in advanced countries or our country. So these are the, I would stress, these are the two areas that our courses in commerce management must focus and see how you can adopt these courses. Career as a professional investor. And like our MBFS, which is focused in terms of this, growth in startups, venture capital and private equity, traveling as a career and business model, which is also equally important for a place like Goa. And that's how the tourism is considered to be one of the important educational product in Goa, most of the educational institutions, in Goa at least. Affiliate marketing as a career, and marketing, especially multimedia marketing, which is very important here. Career in collaborating with the various platforms. Fraud detection and ethical hacking, which has become now cyber security. Edupreneur and sociopreneur, which is a new concept which is also coming as your own. You don't need to depend on someone. You can be an edupreneur, starting your own education sector. Now, I think day after tomorrow, tomorrow there's one education summit of edupreneur, where almost 200 edupreneurs are meeting together and to discuss about the trends that are happening and then preparing themselves in future. And how they are also playing a role in terms of how they can develop a marketing model for various educational institutions for getting the students for admissions. So this is another area. And app-based service, of course, a computer science student would know better, but now today, it is not only computer science, but even commerce management students also are well equipped in terms of this. All right, so that is the head of that. With this, now I close. The opportunities are below, but then the focus that we need to drive is that we need to share with the traditional approach of our teaching or training and prepare our students with the necessary updated skills. And before doing that, as a teacher, you need to upgrade yourself. Don't feel shy of learning the new subject. And during the last almost 1 year, I participated many FDP programs apart from my joining as a faculty, resource faculty also like this. So you don't need to feel shy of learning a subject which you are not familiar. So this is my sincere suggestion to all the faculty members. And with this, once again, I thank the organizers for giving the opportunity. In case if there's a time, I'm there to answer if you have any kind of queries on my presentation. Okay, ma'am. From my
Okay,
side,
sir.
is over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So participants, you have any queries? Okay, there is, I think there was no questions typed in the chat box. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your stimulating and informative speech.
Thank you.
And also it gives us a clear knowledge about the skill gap. And you have give us a suggestion how to develop the skills. And also your speech has refreshed everyone about how the current scenario is in all the fields. And you have given the suggestion for the faculties to develop themselves. So that is